YouTube? So I am here 4 days out from my first ever marathon. So many feelings, so much excitement, so much nervousness. And right now I am in taper week and starting to get what some people have called, and I think accurately, the taper crazies, where everything's kind of coming to a head. I have all of the mental gymnastics going on of, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? Am I prepared? Am I forgetting something? I mean, it's just everything all at once. This is really the first time your body starts to get a little bit of a break after ramping up the training for so long. And with race day right around the corner, it's like, yeah, the perfect storm of just everything, right? Coming together mentally. So I've been doing like so much research. I've been going down so many rabbit holes trying to make sure I have everything in order. I have thought of everything. It's my weird little way of trying to kind of feel like in control of a situation when it's kind of, I don't know, not all in my control in terms of knowing how the day's going to go and knowing how the race is going to be run and that sort of thing. But so many rabbit holes, learning so many different things. And I wanted to kind of share out some stuff I learned and then what I'm going to be doing on race day. Now, I will have a video, like a little log of race day itself. And obviously, you're going to get to see a little bit more and kind of will explain more about hydration and fueling and things like that. But I will touch on that a little bit here as well. P.S. If you hear wind chimes, I deeply apologize. It is crazy windy outside, and there's just no stopping the multiple wind chimes that I have downstairs. So that is that. But let's get started. First off, I wanted to talk about gear, things I'm going to be using. Now, outfit and things like that, you're going to see day of. I will just mention that I wear medium compression leggings. I'm not a shorts girly. Socks, I do not wear ankle socks. I wear more of, I think it's called the crew sock, where it comes up your ankle a little bit. That way there's no risk of an ankle sock slipping down and then me getting a blister, anything like that. Comfortable sports bra, something that I have trained in, and a moisture wicking and seamless top. That way, as I get very sweaty, which I always am, it's going to help kind of wick the moisture away. And there's not going to be any seams that can kind of like dig into me anywhere because we want to minimize chafing. And the shoes I will be using are my Adios Pro 3s. I've shown them before, but I'll put a little picture of those here so you can see those. But I've trained in them. I really like the shoe. It's comfortable. There's a lot of toe space, so we're going with them. Other than my outfit, I'm not going to be bringing this one exactly or wearing this one. I did get a new one that is black that I like a whole lot more, but I'm going to be bringing my flip belt. Again, not this same one. And I've had this one for literally over a decade. I was going to say years and years. I can't remember. This is like one of the first ones that came out was this color, which is why I'm not the biggest green fan, even though my shoes are green. But that's why I got it in this color. There was really like, I think, two to choose from when they first came out. But flip belts are great. They do not move on your waist. It's really comfortable. You can keep a lot of stuff in here. Like they have these pockets that open up and you can fit a lot of things in here that do not slide out or bounce out when you're running, moving, whatever you're doing. And they do have a little clip here for keys and stuff like that too. So it's for like a little added security measure. If you have things clipped on here and they do happen to somehow fall out of the pocket, they're not going anywhere. But I really like using this for anything extra, extra gels, stuff like that. Sometimes I do slip my phone in there instead of putting it back in the vest, just kind of like whatever's easiest at the time. But the main reason I love having this is for any garbage I'm creating out in the course, whether that be tissues, which I'll talk about in a second, or gel garbage, which I'll also talk about that in a second. But I think any of us that have run with gels and used them know they can kind of get gooey and sticky and a little nasty, especially if you're holding on to the garbage. I'm not throwing any shade at people that toss stuff just on the ground during marathons. I know there's a lot of incredible volunteers that come and clean things up. I just don't feel right doing it. Like even when they hand you the water cups, I don't feel right just tossing it. I don't know. I'm trying to get over that, knowing that people are going to take care of it. It feels wrong. So with my gels in particular, I keep them on me so I can throw them out after. And because they can get a little gunky and sticky and nasty, I like keeping them all in one spot. So I will slip them in the back pocket of my flip belt. That way they're kind of out of sight, out of mind, especially if I am trying to put like a phone up front or anything like that. And after I get done, I can just take them all out. And this thing is really, really easy to wash as well. I've had some gel explosions happen in here and cleaned up super easily. So I'm definitely going to be bringing and wearing that alongside my Solomon vest, which I've shown this in other little vlogs as well. Love this thing. This is the Active Skin 8. This is not particularly their road running vest because it does have this like book bag on the back. There are some that are just a mesh backing without this. I just literally didn't have a lot of options when I was looking and ordering one. So this was one of the last ones that were in stock in a colorway that I didn't hate. But yeah, it's convenient. I mean, I'm not going to be using the backpack because the zipper is up at the top. I don't foresee myself like contorting to try to get a zipper open and get in there. But if you were someone that had a Camelback flask, the kind that wrap around, you could easily put that in here or whatever else you wanted to. But I'm going to be utilizing this in the front pockets. I'm going to have the soft flasks in there that it came with. I'm going to have one on each side with fresh water. I'm debating bringing G1M Sport in one. It's a conversation for the fueling hydration section, but yeah, I have my gels, things like that, my phone, anything I really want in here, and my little extras, which getting into the extras, number one, a sweat towel because I am a sweaty mama. So this is supposed to be like a cooling towel where you can pour water on it and it's like keeps you cool. I don't know. I'm just happy to have something that can like dab my sweat off because I sweat like a monster and it does fit very easily in the vest. I've already tried it out. So definitely bringing a sweat towel. I'm also going to be bringing these little headphones I got, and I just got these from actually TJ Maxx. They were super cheap. They work very well. But I'm going to talk about this a little bit later as far as like using them and all that stuff. But yeah, I figured having a small size little compact headphones and the case charges them as well, which is really good. Like, yeah, there we go. So if I start taking them out, it shows the amount of charge it has. But yeah, so super portable, super easy to have on me, doesn't take up a lot of space. My other headphones are the big over the head, or over the ear, I should say, Beats headphones, and that's just so not practical to take with me. And I'll talk a little bit later about why I wouldn't want to use those day of anyway. Another honorable mention, something I just ordered that's not here yet, is I'm going to be taking anti-chafe balm called Squirrel's Nut Butter. Something that was highly, highly recommended by ultra runners that I follow, and I've just heard a lot of really good things about it. In the past, I've used either some of my big tub of Vaseline or I have a big thing of Aquaphor, which has worked very well. But I thought it'd be a really good idea to have something small and portable, also that's been kind of tried and tested, especially for like really long or longer endurance feats. So yeah, I went ahead and ordered it. It's like a 1/2 ounce little stick. So I thought it'd be great to, I can apply it here and then take it with me just in case, let's say, my under my arms start to chafe or anything like that during the race. I can just take it out and apply it and stow it away pretty easily. So that'll be coming. I think those come tomorrow, along with another thing I'm going to be packing, which kind of jumping the gun on the fueling and hydration, but I did get salt tablets. So I had gotten something that had like salt in it, like a vitamin tablet. I think they were like keto electrolyte tablets. I just saw they had salt and electrolytes in them, so I got them. But I figured out those were not the right things, especially to like try to take during a race. You have to take them with a meal. But I went ahead and ordered the Salt Stick brand salt tablets. They do have like dissolvables and things like that, but I just went with the simple tablet. Because it'd be super easy to store, just have them in a little baggie and just take them as needed. And secondly, I figured it would just be like a lot easier to take them than having to like dissolve something in my mouth while I'm running, just in case it is really salty. Sometimes that flavor fatigue really gets to me. So I'm going to be, utilizing those to get some sodium in. And then the last thing I'm going to be bringing, which I don't have a pack here with me, but pocket tissues, a whole pack of them. One, because of the fact that when I start to work out or get sweaty or get hot, my nose tends to get a little bit runny, which could obviously impact breathing and just be a pain. So I'm definitely going to have tissues for that reason. But also, even if you're someone that's not like me and that doesn't happen, anybody and everybody should be bringing tissues or something of the like during a marathon or half marathon. The reason being, God forbid you have any kind of a bathroom need mid-race and you find a porta-john somewhere. Who's to say that there's always going to be toilet paper still stocked in that porta-john by the time you get there? So to minimize any instances of that happening, having your own little pack of tissues is going to be your best friend if, again, God forbid something like that happens and you have to go and there's no toilet paper, then you have yourself covered. So that's all of like the kind of non-fueling stuff besides the salt tabs I'm going to be taking with me. And that kind of moves me into the fueling and hydration. I will say that, again, a lot of this I'm going to cover in my actual like marathon video. 2 days before, 2.5 days before, so this next day or so, I'm going to start carb loading early. I want to be over prepared. I'm not going to go completely insane. There's some guidelines I've kind of looked at and learned about, and I'm catering that to me, my body weight, my training, all of that stuff. So I'm not going to give anyone a figure of what I'm doing because I'm not a sports physio or a nutritionist or a coach or anybody that should be giving anybody advice in those realms. But for me, I'd rather be a little bit over prepared, and I've kind of taken all of that knowledge and boiled that down to some numbers that I would like to hit carb wise in the few days before, just to make sure that I'm really prepared. I don't think just carb loading at like the dinner the night before is going to be the most beneficial. It'll help, but I think if you start doing that earlier, which is kind of what I heard as well, that's when you're getting kind of the biggest bang for your buck. Morning of, I have a little routine, which again, you will see that in the marathon vlog itself if you choose to watch it. But I'm going to be bringing with me a few things. One thing I will say about the morning of, though, I'm going to be taking a few scoops of this G1M Sport. This stuff is great. But during the race, I want to hit, again, through all the things I've learned for me personally, because it's different for everybody, I want to be taking in around 60 grams of carbs per hour. And also, if I can, around 1,500 grams of sodium per hour, because I am a very salty sweater. If you're curious, by the way, if you are a salty sweater or not, if you have ever sweat and it went into your eyes and it stings, you're a salty sweater. If you ever had a really intense sweat session and you can see kind of like salt stains on your clothes or even like little crystals anywhere on your arms or anywhere you've been really heavily sweating, you are a salty sweater. So I am taking these gels with me. I'm going to hide the front for a second. You'll see why, but I'm taking the Huma gels. These are the Strawberry Lemonade Energy Plus. They have electrolytes in them. They have sodium in them. Not a whole ton, but there's 245 milligrams of sodium per one pack and some caffeine as well. I'm going to be taking 2 of these an hour. That is the plan right now. I'm going for about every half hour. And alongside these gels, which I will have a decent amount with me, I plan on being a slow runner. This is being my first marathon and just looking to get it done and feel good. I am planning from anywhere from 5 to 5.5 hours that I'm going to finish this race. So I'm going to need, a decent amount of these, about like 10, 11, just to be safe. And then in between the 2 of those per hour, I'm going to have these honey stinger chews with me. I love these. Whatever flavor I've tried, they've all been good. But a half pack is 23 grams of carbs. And then the full pack is 39, it's almost 40 grams of carbs per pack. So I figured these will be great. It'll be a nice little switch up from just having gels too, to make sure I get the carbs in and I'm not just slurping gels down the entire time at like a high volume. So I'm going to have some of these with me, be taking like a half pack at a time. I decided also I'm going to take a Go Bar maybe 2, just depending on space, right? Because you got to think about everything in terms of your liquid volume and all of your extra stuff. Like, it'll be weighing you down a little bit. Obviously, as you go on and you're consuming it, it's going to get lighter, but that's a consideration, and just space overall. But I would like to bring one of these just in case I start getting flavor fatigue from all the really, really sugary stuff. These are sweetened, but they're not sickeningly sweet like the gels or the chews are. And the Go Bars are great. I've had these a lot. I've tested them in long runs. And these guys have 36 grams of carbs per bar. And they also have a little bit of salt in them too, like 140 milligrams. So really quick, easy to digest. I love the flavor. So I'll probably bring one of these, at least, again, depending on space, I might bring 2. Fueling and hydration wise, and again, the salt pills I'll be taking with me. Something that I wanted to do with all of my gels is I decided that I am going to tape a little positive message onto all of my gels. That way, because I'm going to be taking these kind of frequently, right? Every half hour. Every time I take one out, I can see a little positive message on there and give me that little push I need, or just propel me further in the race. And that kind of moves into some of the other considerations for some of like the mental things and ways I'm kind of prepping in general. Number one is rest. And if you have watched my last few little training vlogs, you've seen that I've had a lot of extremely emotional and extremely stressful things going on right now in my personal life. Family members with health issues, it's just been so much, been making it hard to just kind of really focus on what I need to be doing in terms of hydrating and fueling and just relaxing, like that's the biggest thing. It's been a huge point of stress. Resting as much as I possibly can from here on out. I was talking to my boyfriend last night and I was like, today is the day. Today is the day where, regardless of all the mental gymnastics and things going on that's awful right now and cloudy and dark, I'm buttoning up all of it. Rest is so important. I mean, that's what Taper Week is all about, but it can be difficult, especially if you're somebody that's worrying, like, have I done enough, or do I need more runs? Or so many things can come into play, right? And start to kind of derail you actually getting the rest that you need. Also, if you are planning on doing a marathon and let's say it is out of town or in a different country, you may be really tempted after walking the expo, which could be really big for a lot of bigger marathons. It could be like a lot of walking just at the expo itself. And let's say you want to explore the city after that and go for walks and do sightseeing. Watch yourself, because doing all those steps and not getting that rest the day or the day and a half, 2 days before, depending on what you had planned, like in your actual training block, could come back to bite you, right? So just make sure that you're taking that into consideration. I have a shakeout run the day before, which is just going to be like a mile or 2 just to kind of keep my legs moving. But yeah, anything outside of what you've planned, just to make sure you're really keeping that in consideration for yourself, because you don't want to overdo it and have that impact race day. Another weird consideration before I get into like the mental stuff is clipping your toenails. So clipping your toenails is important because obviously you don't want toenails that are going to be in any way touching the fronts of your shoes. Now, you should have shoes where your toes are not jutting up against the front of them, just for your own sakes anyway. But if you are doing any kind of climbs, if you're doing any kind of descents where, you're at angles, you never know what could happen, even if you have really good toe boxes on your shoes like I do. And if you have longer toenails, they're obviously going to jam up against the front. But if you cut your toenails, let's say the morning of, as you're like getting your socks and shoes on for the race, if you, God forbid, cut them too short, clip yourself, you don't want anything else nagging at you, especially when it comes to your feet, the day of the race. So clip them a day, 2 days before. It's just going to help give that a little day or 2 buffer to heal, or heal as much as it can before the race. So weird little tip that I just heard not long ago, and I was like, God, that's really smart. I've definitely cut them down too far before, and it's just, you don't want that to happen. So other than that is the mental things that I'm thinking about and preparing for the race. So, number one, I have been doing visualizations. And I actually got familiar with like the visualization within like sport through back when I was kickboxing and training Muay Thai. I had a lot of friends that competed at a really high level, and a large part of their training outside of obviously the physical stuff was the mental training and visualizing moments. So, like visualizing their walk out to the ring, visualizing stepping into that ring before the fight starts, visualizing themselves getting their hand held up and like they're the winner. All of that stuff is so important because if you try to avoid the anxiousness and push it away, if you try to avoid the feelings that will inevitably come with something like that or with a marathon, we know are going to be uncomfortable. That's just the name of the game. If we are avoiding that, when it hits at that moment, it may seem a lot scarier and a lot more impactful. So I have been visualizing during the race when it gets hard. I've been using the other long runs that I've done, moments where I felt like, oh my God, like this is awful. I've been using that, putting that in context, and really thinking about like these deep miles where you're grinding and it hurts and that pain cave is upon you. I'm trying to visualize that. Of course, it's not going to be exactly how I envision like day of the race, but the more mentally I'm putting that into practice and kind of like preparing for it, it's not going to catch me so off guard when it comes, if that makes sense. Another thing I've been obviously visualizing is just the finish line, right? Which is really fun and really motivating. I don't know what that's going to look or feel like until I get there either, but I'm trying to paint a picture in my mind of getting to that point. That way, when things are hard and things look dark for me out there on the course, I can think about that finish line. I can think about my friends and family that'll be there, and hopefully that'll give me some power in my legs, right, to keep on going. Another mental consideration is that I've been choosing some mantras for myself. Positive self-talk is so powerful for anybody and in any situation. So I knew for me going into the marathon, it was going to be really helpful for me to have some mantras in mind. So one of the biggest ones I am going to be utilizing is that this is chosen and this is temporary, meaning I chose to do this race. No one was forcing me. I chose to do this. I wanted to do this race. And this is temporary not only means the pain I will inevitably feel or be feeling at parts of this race, but the race itself is temporary. Like, this is something I have put so many hours into, like training. I have had to readapt schedules. I've had, times cut short with loved ones, with my boyfriend, with friends, with family, because I got to get this run in or I have to do this. So it's like I've spent all of this time and made so many sacrifices and put my body through so much to get to this moment. And I'm only going to have this first ever marathon one time while I'm doing it. So if I remind myself that this is temporary, that soon this will be over, and soon this whole experience will be something I just look back on, it's going to help me stay in the moment and not only reaffirm to myself that like I can get through it, but also I have to be present and just enjoy, because I'll never get these moments back. Another mantra that I have is this pain doesn't compare. I think anybody can think about moments in their life that were so hard that they wondered how they were going to get through it, or look back and think like, I don't even know how I made it through that moment. I've certainly been through a lot of those myself too. Thinking about my health issues that I have. My first video was kind of talking about all of that, but having fibromyalgia and having extreme pain that can come and go when it pleases and can take me out for a few days, where I can be bedbound and even adjusting and shifting myself to try to grab a drink or try to move my head or try to get more comfortable. Everything hurts so much that I have thought about that. And again, if you watch my first video, that's what kind of got me into all of this and into this little running chapter of my life. The pain I'm going to feel in the marathon, it's not going to compare to that pain. And it's not to say like on the same level or like pain threshold. In a lot of ways, it might or might be worse or better, but the pain doesn't compare, because the pain I feel when I'm in bed during a flare up, when everything hurts and I'm really struggling, that's a different pain than me being out here and achieving this goal and doing something that no one else in my family or in my friend group has accomplished, and doing something I never thought I would accomplish. Like that pain, yeah, it won't compare to anything else because it's on the back of something so much greater for me. Another thing for the whole mental state during the race, because that's what so much of the marathon is outside of the training and all the effort that's put in the training block. Like so much of it is mental. Anything with running, not just a marathon, running itself is so much dictated on your mental state and how you mentally do it or get through it. So I'm going to have the headphones, like I said earlier. Now, two caveats. The first one, I've had eardrum repair surgery on my right ear back when I was in middle school. No earbuds fit into my ear. Even with, because you know how they give you like different little rubber grips on the earbuds, right? Like I got a pack with this that came with like two different larger sizes. Even those don't fit or won't stay in. So I won't be wearing two headphones because of that. But also, even if I didn't have that going on, I would only wear one when needed, like mid-race, right? I want to start off the race just taking it all in, taking all the sights, the sounds, the other runners, all of that. I want to pull this out kind of like when I need it. When I need DMX yelling and barking in my ear type thing. You know what I mean? But I'm going to use the one so I can have that little like pump up kind of music going on that gets me through, and have the other ear just kind of like open so I can hear everything and just all the things going on and take it in. Because crowds that come out to like marathons and are on the sidelines cheering people on, it's so amazing. And there's something so powerful to that. Like not only the fact that people take time out of their day to come and just stand somewhere, either if it's standing there for a while to like see the person they love running this race for the 20 seconds as they go by, or just coming out because they thought it'd be fun to come out and cheer people on. Like there's so much good energy, and it's so amazing that people do that. I want to be able to take that all in and really enjoy that. The last thing that I'm going to be doing day of the race, and I'm going to share more about this obviously in the day of, like the marathon vlog itself. I thought about how I've only done 20 miles so far, right? So that 10K, that last 10K of the race, is a whole area I have never been to before. I've never gone that many miles. That's just going to be a whole new world. I am dedicating each of those last 6 miles to someone I love and care about in my life, because I thought about that's really when the race begins. And I've heard that a lot already, watching a bunch of race vlogs and people talking about considerations for race day, all that stuff. And if I have each of those miles dedicated to somebody else, it's no longer just about me pushing me through. It's me doing it for someone. And that I feel like is going to be really powerful for me to help me continue on and finish strong, knowing that I'm doing it for them. And again, I will share who the miles are for day of the race. I kind of want to just have that here for right now. Those are all the things that I'm kind of doing to prep, the gear I'm going to be bringing, kind of little ins and outs and tips and things I've kind of learned along the way that I wanted to share in case there's any other newer runners, people who are thinking about doing any kind of a race, 5, 10K, half, marathon, ultras, whatever it is. But I would love to hear from you. Do you have tips or tricks or considerations? Have you done a race before? Do you have best practices? Do you have a race coming up, and what are you doing to prepare? So yeah, I would love to hear from you. I appreciate you watching this. Like I said, next video or so is going to be race day. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully you will check that out, but thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.